Do you need some Valentine card inspiration? Well, come on in. Hello, welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. This is Julia Laird, and today I'm trying to get the last of my Valentine's cards made. So come make some Valentine cards with me. I've got some card bases that are pre-cut here. These are some mini slim lines, and I didn't cut them quite right, but I'm going to go ahead and use them anyway because they do fit the envelopes and they'll fit just fine. These are 6 1/4 by 3 inch folded, and I've got a cover sheet to go on them that's 6 by 2 3/4. That's a 1/4 inch off all the way around. I like to use a 65-pound cover sheet that I can work off of, especially when I'm doing scrappy projects like this rather than working directly onto my card base, because it gives me a better reference. The other set of cards that we're going to be using today are these 4 1/4 inch square cards, and the cover is of course 4 by 4. Let me show you the paper that I've got left over. This is from Echo Park. I believe it was the Kissing Booth. I've got some embossed pinkish. This is some scraps left from my friend Peggy's pile, and it came from Hobby Lobby. Very cute paper. Over here I've got some pinks. This is a piece that I got in from scrapbook.com as a flyer for $49 in Market paper, and boy, I wish I had gotten a pack of that paper. It's gorgeous. But anyway, I thought it would make a nice backdrop for some pink, and use that up. Some black and white hearts and some Dollar Tree embellishments. In my studio I have a hard fast rule, and I've had to really toughen myself up to be true to that rule, and that is use the smallest piece of paper to do the job that you've got, rather than cutting first and then ending up with a bigger and bigger pile of scraps. It's kind of seductive, you know, to take a nice clear clean piece of paper and cut it up, but then you end up with a big pile of stuff that's just a real challenge to use sometimes. I'm going to speed this up so that y'all don't get bored, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment, and don't forget to subscribe. So let's go. We'll see what we got. These first cards use the Echo Park Kissing Booth paper, and I'm going to cut them into a square size to fit that 4 1/4 inch square card. I have some embellishments that I'll add to them, but both of these are going to go on that black with the little red hearts on it. Made a real nice piece of black layer underneath those. I added a few little red hearts that I had cut out of just plain red paper, and I'm adding a little strip here of that embossed paper, cutting these tickets down to size so that I can use them as one of the layers up underneath that heart embellishment. Decided to use the side with the text rather than the hearts. Added a couple of looks like maybe just one heart from the pack from Dollar Tree on that one. I'm going to use my mat here so that I kind of get this embossed piece straight. I'm bad about not getting them straight if I don't use my mat. Elevated that set of tickets up a little bit, and I'm going to bring that side of the heart up as well. And there we have placement of that now. And I'm going to add another little heart down there in the corner. I'm going to glue that now to the card base. And you can see how easy that is by using that little top layer. I find that this works extremely well. I'm going to add a little piece of cut paper that says love on it, on that. And that card's almost finished now. I may go back and add some things to these later, but I will show a picture of all the cards when they're completely finished at the very end. And this is that black layer going on to the white first layer. Put this a little askew and added those two little hearts in the side there, and then I went back and thought I needed a little extra something something, so I pulled a little bird out and put him there in the corner just as a little whimsy, and later added a second one, put him up, that one up on a card, and it's almost finished. And the next one is the kissing booth one. Again, I'm using my mat for placement. It makes it very simple on these cards. I try not to do a lot of dimension on these. I am going to, however, add some little hearts. That little cut apart there has some little hearts in it, which are not hardly noticeable at all, so I added those foiled ones from the Dollar Tree. And that card's finished. Now on these next cards, I'm going to start using some of this embossed piece. It's kind of a weird color. I don't remember what the name of that is. It might be one of the rose colored papers from Stampin' Up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This is a piece of that designer paper from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to mount it up onto a piece of white so that it has a little white border around it. And I'm just gluing this embossed piece down. And I'm going to add some stitching around the outside. Remember now, this is that first layer that's 4 by 4. I'm going to put some dimension up underneath this other layer just for a little added interest. And then I'm trying to figure out what to put on it. So I decided to use one of these white hearts. Now the little white hearts that are on that paper have a kind of a wonky black edge, so I made my black edge a little thick and thin and put it on that way. I did go back and add some polka dots to that white heart. And here it is going on the card base. And here's another one. I cut this layer a little bit bigger than the last one. And I'm going to use some of that 49 and market paper here. That square's 3 by 3. So I've still got 3/4 of that piece left. Now you'll notice that I added glue to that because it's going on top of that embossed piece. And that'll hold it firmly to go through the mail and what have you. I added a little foil heart to that, and I'm putting some dimension up underneath that heart. I'm adding that little cupcake down there. And I'll put this on the card base. And then I believe I go back and add the word love to that one as well. Maybe I put a heart up in the corner on that one. That's right. Then I decided I would put the love in there. Sometimes you just have to be flexible when you're making these kind of scrappy little cards and kind of go with what comes to you. This piece, I kind of struggled with what to do with that, but I fishtailed the striped piece and added this leftover sentiment, you and me, from Dollar Tree stickers that I had gosh, from 2 years ago, I think now. Got some paper that had foil red hearts on it that I had cut in strips to go on the top and the bottom of that card. This is going to be one of those little mini slim lines. I'm going to turn it because I want it to kind of go in the middle, top to bottom, so that I've got spacing right. And that way I use my grid paper, or my grid mat. I'll glue those strips down. And I'm going to leave those strips on to mount it because I wanted them to extend all the way to the edge of the card, just for a little more visual interest. This is that little piece of pink paper. It's got a real subtle pattern. And while I was looking at that, I found these little stripes of hearts and got sidetracked, but I'll make that card next, I think. This kind of has a little purplish hue to it, so I'm trying to use up these little last stickers and things that I had from Dollar Tree a couple of years ago. And I think this is almost the end of them, but it lended itself very well to this color combination. It has just a little bit of the lavender in it. Again, I left that strip long so that I can cut it off at the edge of the card that way. Sorry, I got out of camera there a little bit now. That little coffee, iced coffee with the heart, and I tried that pink heart underneath and didn't like it. Added a little bit of glue to that embellishment because it's a little older and I wanted it to be sure and stick. I wanted to add a few little extra hearts in the same kind of purplish lavender hue there, and hot pink that kind of ties that card together. Okay, so this is that slimline card, and I am just gluing these strips down on the outside edge, leaving a little blank space between them just so that they'll fill up the top layer. They don't exactly match up, and that's fine. Once they're covered up in the middle there, you'll see it's not noticeable at all. I'm going to cut another strip of that love paper. That's been the best little paper to use for Valentine's over the years. I've had several pieces of 12 by 12. I'm almost out of it now. I have to be looking for some kind of replacement, won't I? That didn't quite come to the edge, so I trimmed it off, so now it's just a little short, but it doesn't show in the end. I added a couple of those little foil hearts on there and mounted it up on that slimline base. And I'm trying to figure out what to do next. I'm going back to that Hobby Lobby and do a little torn card. And I want the white edge exposed on both sides so you can see I flipped it and tore it again. And I'm going to glue this right up next to the edge there on both sides so there's an exposed white strip between them, and trim off the excess. I'm going to use one of those black hearts, and that has embossing on it. And then I'm going to pull one of those foil hearts and mount it up onto some 110 cardstock so that it has some substance to it, because I am going to put it up on dimensions. And that's going there now. I'm going to take that strip of love sentiment and put it up underneath that heart. And again, I'm going to leave it long so that it can extend to the edge of the card. I trimmed it off, and I noticed while I was fixing it that there was this nice little white heart there, so I added it to the corner. These little strips were 1.5 by 3 inches, so I put them together on a card front, and I thought maybe I would use that little pink strip of hearts, but I didn't like it after I got working with it. So I went back to that little love sentiment and put it on there instead. And I think it works better with the black in that paper. I did go ahead and put a little black edge around my top layer there. And I put a little piece of red linen paper up underneath the sentiment strip, which really kind of made that pop a little bit. And because the red did not extend far enough, I just went ahead and trimmed that off there now. And of course, I'm looking for something to go in there, and I'm struggling here a little bit. So I just put some extra hearts on it, and it turned out really pretty. I put 3 of them there. I also used some more of those 1.5 by 3 strips on a slimline, on a mini slimline, just for a little interest there. I turned it and I did the center one first, put it right in the middle of that card, and then I put my 2 outside edges on there. I'm again going to use some of that love sentiment in a strip that goes across this card. But I decided I'd black the edge of that, and I got a little out of bounds, so I'm going to have to fix that first. I was trying to figure out what to do, and I realized that my little decorative scissors would do the trick. So I went back in with my black marker, and it really shows up nicely against that card base now. I cut these at a little angle and didn't extend them the whole length of the card, just as a little interest there. And then I decided I'd put some flowers on it. So I thought those were cute. And they've got little hearts in the middle of them. Most of them do. So it continues with that little love thing. So here's the finished cards. I've got them fully embellished. I do not have the stamp Happy Valentine's Day inside yet, but you can see I put a little piece of trim on the inside of each one of these. Added a few little gems here, piece of trim here. I added a little ticket here and this little envelope and the word love, and just a little piece of paper up in the top. This one I added a second butterfly, and on the inside I added a strip and a flower. I added a little ticket here and some gems. Oh, and this is some peel off from Love from Lizzie. I thought it added a little bling and a little strip inside. This one has the gems around the heart. I added another little heart here that says sweet, and some of that embossed paper inside. Added the word adore, put a little white heart up in that corner, and some of this embossed paper. This one, I think all I did was, I added the polka dots on that white heart, and then I added some round top, flat bottom red gems, and a little bling on the inside. This one I just added some straight line red gems and an inside embellishment. For the kissing booth, I added the lips, and you have my heart ticket. And on the inside I put another ticket and just a little strip of that text. On this one I added a few little pink gems and a third heart raised up on top of a white heart, and that's up on dimension. And then there's a little strip on the inside. I hope you've been inspired to make some Valentines and that you'll come back soon.